Welcome to the Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 271, Ultra Virus Killer. I'm your host, Jeff Halash. I'm joined today by Fred Silva from the maker of UVK and the Tech Tool Store. How you doing, Fred?
How you doing, Jeff? It's nice to be here. Sorry for my bad English. It's not my native language. And thank you for inviting me to the podcast.
No problem. And quite honestly, your English is a lot better than even some Americans that I know, so it's all good.
Okay,
All right.
thanks.
So let's go ahead and tell maybe a little bit of background story of where you got started and why you created something like UVK and the Tech Tool Store.
Well, actually, I'm a computer technician too. I do computer repair. Actually, it's pretty useful to me because that allows me to test my own tools in different environments and different hardware. And so, as a technician, I needed some tools that weren't easy to find out there. Some of them were paying ones, and so I thought I would start building some of them. And that's where I came up with UVK. It was just a little tool that showed the process list and allowed to kill some processes and at the same time delete the associated file, and it had some repair options, but it was very, very small. And I introduced it once in the Technible website, you know. So that's where technicians became interested in it and started asking for more options and more options, and so it started to grow, and well, it became what it is today.
Okay.
In 2010.
In 2000, wow. Okay. So it's been quite a while, and I've seen it grow over the years, and I know it's been around well, actually, I got started in my business back in 2010, and I knew about it back then. So it's been around for a long time, and I've seen it grow, and it just has this massive amount of tools, which is really cool. And it's kind of usually the way these things come about is you were already doing something in the business where you needed a tool to help you out. So you said, hey, I don't see anything
Exactly.
out there, and I'm going to create something that's going to help myself. And then you saw a need that other technicians had for a product just like this to help them in their business. Win-win.
Yeah, sure. Because I thought that if it was useful to me, it would surely be useful to others. So why not put it available to other people? I guess
Right.
it would be a waste if I kept it just for me.
That's good. So now you went on, UVK obviously was your first product. And then you also
Mm.
went on from there and created the Tech Tool Store. Now, why did you do that when you already
Yeah,
had a product that had a lot of tools and stuff in it?
that's a funny question because it didn't really came up from me. There was a virtual friend that I met at the Technical Forum. It was a computer technician, and once he told me about UVK, why didn't I put more tools into UVK? Well, I just thought that putting too many tools in the repair section would clutter it, you know. And he told me, at the time, he told me if I knew how to code like you do, I would build a tool that had all the technician tools inside, and that would sell like like hell. He told me like this, and I thought, well, it's probably not such a bad idea. But at the time, there was already a tool, Gigik,
Mm-hmm.
Gigik's tool. Well, it has a toolkit with many, many tools. And at the time, I know about Mike from Gigik, and I asked him if he wanted to partner with me, if he wanted to make a partnership with me and build a tool. I had already imagined Tech Tool Store because Gigik was a toolkit with 2 or 3 gigabytes. It was too big; it wasn't possible to download. So, and he said, "Well, Fred, listen, you you can copy all the tools from my toolkit to your tool and just build it. If I need it, I'll buy it from you. But I'm not a coder, so I'm not going to make a partnership with you." That at the time I was a bit sad because it had been his idea, and I thought he deserved to have a piece of the cake. but we didn't want to. So I started building Tech Tool Store, and I think it is already more popular than his toolkit. But if you listen to me, hi Mike. And I just thank you. I really, really, he let me copy some of the download URLs, from his toolkit. He was a really nice guy. Just too bad we didn't make a partnership. So that's it. That's how we was built the Tech Tool Store.
Well, that's awesome. And it's nice to see people in the community actually working together, because there's a lot of people out there that, for whatever reason,
They're just
don't really want to
jealous
work
of each
together.
other.
But, you know, so,
Well, I think there's no need to be jealous of anyone here, because there is work for everyone. If you want to work, well, you know, when when I started selling a bit of UVK, I started to dedicate more and more time to the project. But I didn't sell much at the time. I used to sell $150 per month. That's and that happened for 2 or 3 years. The 2 or 3 first years, I didn't sell much, but I just kept saying to myself, if I can sell 150, well, maybe I can sell 1,500 in the future. So I'll just keep trying, and actually, it came up, and it's selling fine today. That's
nice.
why it's you just have to do some effort, and then things come.
Absolutely. Well, it's nice when this is what I always say. It's hard to support a product forever that's 100% free. There's a lot of good tools out there. There's a lot of free tools out there, but it is hard for any person, especially when you start talking about families and different things that you go through in your life, to be able to maintain those products. But the one way to maintain those products is usually, if there's money involved, that kind of helps a little bit in makes it worthwhile to continue to build a great product and get it out to the masses. And let's be honest, people are making money off these tools. So quite honestly, if somebody's going to put together a tool that gets all these other tools in place, they should be paid for their efforts.
Sure, especially because people don't donate easily. Some people that could donate more than they don't. I just understand that I was never really a big donor either. So I guess the only donations I have made in my life, it was to Wikipedia or something. So I understand that the people, if they can have the stuff for free, they're just not going to donate. So we have to make them pay for it in somehow. And one of the things that that programmers mostly use is the hardware. The bundle some program with I just hate that. I hate hardware. That's why I made the Ultra Hardware Killer too. And, I don't like hardware, so I had to make something. I had to block a few things in UVK so that people had to buy a license in order to unblock them, and this way I don't fill the people's computers with junk, and people just buy it if they need it to. If they don't, they can keep using the free version. That's it.
Yeah, it's a great business model you came up with, because you've got custom branding that goes into UVK when you purchase that, and it's very easy, and it's a really light program too,
Hmm.
in order to get the tools and the things that you need in order to get started on not only repairing a system, mitigating malware and things like that. So I think it's a great kit, and quite honestly, between you and me, it's more than a fair price. You probably should charge more.
Thanks. Well, I recently raised the prices, so I'm not going to do it anytime soon. Once I asked in my forum if the people that have already purchased the UVK license, if they agreed to start paying a subscription, paying yearly or something like that. But most of them didn't like the idea, so I didn't want to make enemies from friends. So I just kept it like this. And I'm thinking about adding, a licensing system that allows technicians to leave UVK installed in their clients' computers, so that they can do some automated stuff, and you just purchase an extra license for that it's attached to the computer's hardware, so it will only work for one computer. And they install this cheap, very cheap license, and they can keep the application installed in the client's computers. Something to start to make a little bit more cash, so it can pay for the project in the future.
Right. No, that's good. Yeah, because it would be nice to be able to leave that piece of software on there and be able to, password lock it or something like that, so that the customers aren't messing around with something that they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, but I don't actually mind if the techs leave the UVK installed in their clients' computers. The only thing that I'm a bit scared of is if the client chooses to bundle that license key with the application and make an application available for everyone. A cracked application. That's going to be annoying. I'll have to disable that license and then start working with the tech to get him another license. That, well, just to avoid those problems, I don't recommend to leave the application activated in the client's computer. But otherwise, I don't have anything against it.
Well, it's funny because, and you know this because you're a technician yourself.
Yeah.
Most of our clients aren't smart enough to actually do anything with that, especially if you hide it somewhere on the C folder. They're
Yeah.
clueless.
Well, there are some geeks, that can actually work with UVK. I recently released an OEM licensing system. Each license costs about $25, and I've been selling a lot of them, only
Nice.
only for one computer. So that's not technicians they buy those licenses. The producers, they buy the licenses for their computer. I don't know, but they are not complaining about it.
Nice. That's good. That's real good. So
Well,
let's go into UVK and let's talk about some of the things that it can do and some of the things that are maybe the highlights of the system, because obviously it can do a lot. But obviously, I have to ask a question. Ultra Virus Killer. Where did that name come from?
no, as I told you before, that wasn't a good choice. That's for sure. But as I told you before, in the beginning, it was just something that allowed you to kill some virus with relatively ease. You could just select a few processes, walk, and you deleted the files and the processes. So it was an ultra way of killing a virus easily. But it wasn't a good choice. Forget it. But now I'm not gonna change it. Okay.
That's good. So obviously, so that's where it started. Obviously, that's where the name came from. And then you moved on and started doing some repairs inside of their, Windows repairs and different things that you could repair that a lot of viruses and pieces of malware would break. So
Exactly.
let's walk through some of those things and what types of things do you use it for, and what types of things do you see other people using it for? Like some of the highlights of what it can actually do for an individual. And it anytime you can pull a product together, it looks like it also can save you time. So that's there's that too.
Well, what I tried to make it do is automate, so that a computer technician can make a few check marks, and then that will repair itself. But that's not always easy, because, for instance, we can start Malwarebytes, make it start the scan, but how do you automate all the possibilities that will actually happen if it detects something or if it doesn't? So some of the things cannot be fully automated. But the main principle was you put a few check marks and you start a repair, and then it will be done. So the actions that it does, well, is what many other applications like tweaking.com Windows Repair does. So It's basically those repair actions that every technician already knows, but they are all there. He can select them and make them do their job, and later it just comes by and okay, that's all done. Is the problem fixed? If it is, nice. If it is not, it's, well, there's some work left to do, and that's it. Basically, it's automation.
Okay. And now, when you run this tool on your clients' computers, what do you normally run as far as the some of the anti malware, antivirus, all that kind of stuff?
Well, actually, contrary to most techs, I don't have a a pre-selection done. I do some stuff depending on the problem that the computer has. For instance, if there's a network problem that the computer cannot connect to the internet, I will choose. Let me just see. I'll choose reset the host file and DNS, reset IP, WinSock and proxy, reset the DNS cache, reset and fix the Windows firewall. It depends on the problem that the computer has. If the computer keeps crashing, for instance, I try registering the system DLLs, repair Windows using DISM, the run SFC scan. What the things that I use are always related to the problems that exist, but there are some other fixes that I always use. For instance, the maintenance fixes that empty all user stem folders, uh, empty browsers cache. I don't do it all the time, but most of the time I do it. Clear Windows event logs, clear error report folders, clear the shell Mui cache, clear empty app data subdirectories. Those I always use them, and I also always use the system booster options. That gives them a big boost to the system. I'm not saying this because it's a paid option. I say it because it really helps. Actually, in my computer, I have a scheduled task that runs the system booster every 2 days
Okay.
because yeah, I really like that option. I noticed that it gives a big boost to the system. So then, for instance, if there are some problems like the Windows Explorer not working, and I noticed that those options are related to to the user that is currently logged in. There are some recent tools that are added, like the account profile fixer. I don't know if you have already read about it. That's a new tool that I launched, and it's part of UVK, and it can be used to automate the process of creating a new user account and moving all the data from the old user account to the new one. That can fix a lot of problems that are related to the user profile. Like the Windows Explorer, for example, not working properly, the notification area not appearing, Microsoft Edge is not working, or some Windows Store applications that are not working. That is an option that can really fix uh, uh, those things, and in a very easy way. You just do 2 clicks and you let it work. When it reboots the second time, it will reboot to the newly created account, and where everything should be fixed.
So you're telling me that the old fashioned way of doing things, where we had to copy all the data from a user profile and then recreate a new user profile and then move all that data over, we can now be automated through UVK.
Yeah, through that new tool that I just made. If you go to my website and you search and you click in the tab that says other products, the third product is account profile fixer. That's the tool. I have it available also as a standalone tool, and it's also part of UVK.
Okay. Awesome. Well, it's again, it as far as having a product with all the tools all in one place, because there are still a lot of technicians out there that will take tools separately and they have their own, everybody's got their own little programs and things that they use for fixing their customers' computers.
Of course.
And a lot of it tends to be manual unless you have a tool like this where it pulls everything together that somebody can go through and actually, like you said, I've got a network problem. I'm going to work on the network stuff. I've got a malware problem. I'm going to work on that, or I've got whatever Windows problem. And so now you've got all the tools all in one spot. You just pick and choose what you want, click a couple buttons, check a couple things, and move on with your day.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So now, so you created UVK. It's got this great amount of tools. And I understand you even have some, there's different registry tools or different registry, I don't want to call them hacks, but basically that's what they are. Things that we can do in a customer's registry to fix certain things inside of Windows 10, turning things on, turning things off. And so I know you've created stuff like that in there that makes it, again, we don't have to think about what we have to use on a customer's computer. We've got it right here staring us in the face. And all we've got to do is look for that particular tool and go, here's what I need. Here's what's going to fix this, instead of doing the old fashioned, let me go out on Google and let me find where this problem's at. Oh, yeah, I need to go in the registry and do this, put this hack in there so that I can make this thing work the way I need it to work for my situation.
There's a section in UVK that's called
I know there's a lot.
Tools and tweaks.
Yes.
Tools and tweaks. And so in this section, there's a tab that says registry tweaks, where you can do some hacks, as you say, such as disabling the user account control, enabling the autoplay function for all drives, disable the lock screen, disable Windows Defender, disable OneDrive, enable the recycle bin in this PC, disable hibernation or the hybrid shutdown, those kinds of tricks. They are also there in that section. And there are some of them also, such as enable number lock on for all users at the Windows startup. That can be very useful, because sometimes people forget to enable the number lock, and then they have to type their password twice.
Right. Okay.
Some of those tools are also in the system repair section, but I thought I could put them in a separate section, just for people to know that those are tweaks, are not really repair actions.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that's a good way. And that's probably a better way to put it, instead of hack, is probably tweak. All right. So is there anything else that we haven't touched on in UVK, as far as maybe some of the other things that it can, I mean, you look at the first screen and you've got things like run scripts, scan and create logs. You've got all kinds of different things that you can do in there. Is there any other highlights that you want to touch on, as far as other things that it can help you with?
Well, one of the things I think it's quite important in UVK. It's the virus total reports. The virus total values in the list. For example, if you go to the Smart Uninstaller and you look at the virus total column, you can click on the column header to bring up the applications that have higher detections on virus total. That can help you to decide which applications you should uninstall first.
Okay.
Because if there are some malicious applications installed, they will certainly give you more detections on virus total. So it will certainly help you to choose which tools to uninstall. And that part, that clicking on the column headers, can also help a technician in many other ways. For instance, the install date can help a technician to uninstall applications that are older and probably less no longer used by the user. or for instance, the applications that came already installed with the with the computer, though, such as the bloatware from HP or Acer,
Right.
So clicking those column headers can be quite useful to help where to decide which applications can be uninstalled. And those column headers are clickable in most of the sections. For the process manager too, that you can click those column headers to search for processes from a certain publisher, or to choose the ones that have a higher virus total detection, or those that are using more CPU. You know, so that's something that not all the techs think, and that can be useful.
Now, as far as a smart uninstaller, is that something where you can do a batch uninstall of several products at one time?
Yeah, sure. You can just
Okay.
select. You can select as many as you want,
Nice.
okay, and then they will be uninstalled in sequence. And you can click. You can select. Uh, you know, you can select the try and unattended uninstall in the options and in the top pane, and that will try to automate all the uninstall operations. So it will probably allow you to uninstall 10 or 15 applications with just one click. That will be
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, that's a lot of people. That's probably one of the first things that I do when I'm going through a computer is I look for maybe some of those, we'll call them applications that don't need to be on the computer. Like you said, stuff that's not being used or stuff that I know probably got downloaded with something else. And you
yeah.
go through and you manually uninstall each one by itself and click and click and click. So this definitely saves time.
Let me see if I can think of other things that. Okay. The Smart Uninstaller also has an option to uninstall the Windows Store apps. That's only available on Windows 10 and Windows 8, of course. But some people don't know about it. And here you can uninstall some tools that are built into the system, such as the Microsoft messaging tool, and the Microsoft people. Some users just hate those tools. They don't use it, and they hate them, movies and TV. And that can be useful to install all those tools in sequence and in an automated way too.
What about something like Candy Crush?
Yeah, of course. Well, Candy Crush, some people actually like that game. Not me, of course, but
I still can't imagine playing it on a computer. I can understand playing it on a phone. I get it, but not a computer.
well, I still like some old games like the Postal 2, Share the Pin, it gives you a bit of action. That was pretty nice games, but Candy Crush, not really.
That's funny. Uh, so you've got, I mean, there's a lot of, there's just so many things that we could go into on the UVK side, all the things I guess probably what I would recommend, and this is probably something that I need to do myself. And we've talked about doing a little class on this and maybe showing people how we individually use it. But I think you really need to take a computer and kind of go through that computer and figure out what each and every one of these buttons and things do and how it can help you so you have a better understanding of what it can do for you to save you time in the long run as you learn all the things that it can do up front.
Well, one thing I recommend every tech to do is to read the tutorial pages in my website, because there are so many things that UVK does that I couldn't just explain them all here. For instance, there's another one that just came to me. In the process manager, you can select which processes you are to skip if you choose to kill all the non-system processes. Uh, you can add some some processes to the list so that they are not killed. That can be useful, especially if you're working remotely with Screen Connect or TeamViewer, or so so you can ensure that the application, that your remote access application is not killed by that option. So you just go to the process manager and you click on kill all processes, and then in the right pane there's a small text box where you can add processes easily, because there is even an add button that you can click and add processes from the list. And so to ensure that those processes are not going to be killed when you do a repair operation, that list of processes will then be exported in the options section, will be exported to an ini file that you can keep along with the application packages, and that list is automatically loaded when you plug in a UVK from a USB stick, for example, in a computer. That list is automatically loaded, or if you upload it if you transfer it to the remote computer, for example, if you're doing remote support, you transfer that ini file and the package that will install UVK, and so that list is automatically loaded, and it won't kill this way. UVK won't kill those processes that are important for a remote session, for example.
That's good, because I can't tell you how many times in a remote session I've used a tool, and just as I'm clicking, I go, "Oh yeah, I didn't want to kill the connection."
Yeah, that's it.
Like, I didn't mean to click that one, but yeah, it happens. So that's good. Yeah, because a lot of times you don't know what's running in the background, and you need to figure out what processes are causing maybe some issues that client's computer is having. All right. Is there anything else before we move on to the tech tool store? Is there anything else about UVK that you want to bring to the forefront to let people know about that we haven't covered yet?
Well, there are so many things, but but let me see. Oh, I just had an email of a technician that asked me to add an option to select all in the registry seeker. You know, and actually that option is already there. It is in the right click menu of the list.
Okay.
So one thing I would like to ask everyone is if you can just right click the list, because the menu button may also be hidden. The menu button, it brings up the list just like the right click, but it may be hidden if the window is too small. So you can just either press Control F to bring that button visible, or you can just right click the list, and there are many options in all the lists, and probably the option that you need, it's probably there.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, right click is a powerful tool that sometimes people forget about. But yeah, that's usually where your big large menus are, that you can really dig down deep and make something do what you want it to do. That's, you don't need it on the left click.
Yeah, well, it's a Windows stuff. It's pretty nice Windows stuff.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and move on to the tech tool store, and because we could probably go on for hours and hours about everything that's in UVK, and maybe we can even have you back, at a later date to, walk us through some of these things, and maybe come up with a, kind of how you do it, or something like that. But as far as the tech tool store, you've basically, people wanted more than what was in UVK. So they wanted a whole bunch of tools that are out there on the internet everywhere. And so obviously you made the store to kind of pull all this stuff into one place. And I know people that use it, and they like it just for being able to get those tools that maybe they have to use one time at a client's computer. And instead of having to look that stuff up themselves, it's already right there. So I guess tell us a little bit about the tech tool store and what things are available inside.
Well, Tech Tool Store, it has a few main principles: is organizing because it allows you to organize all the tools so you can access them with much easier than if they had just in a folder in a USB stick. Uh, they the second point is to automate, because with Tech Tool Store you can automate a lot of the tools. You can, those that need to be installed in the local computer, you can easily uninstall them just right after, and the uninstall operation is completely automated too. And the third is to keep those tools updated. So with Tech Tool Store, it makes it really easy to keep all those tools updated in your flash drive or whatever remote, whatever stockage device you use. And well, those 3 points are the main, the heart of Tech Tool Store. Is the automation, organization, and the download, the update, easily update those tools.
Now, does it automatically update if you set it up that way?
Yeah, you just select the tools. You can select them all, of course.
Okay.
And you select the tools, you click update selected, and it will update all the tools. It will download them from the internet. Those that are downloaded into a zip file, a zip archive or zip file, they are automatically unzipped and placed in their respective folder. And so you can just leave it on, and a few minutes later you can see, and it should be all done. One thing that's important to know about Tech Tool Store, it was conceived to respect the bandwidth of the websites from where it downloads the tools. It downloads the tools from trustful websites such as Softpedia, Major Geeks, FileHorse, and many of them are downloaded from the developer's website. But it respects the bandwidth that is used by checking out if the tool has been changed, or if the tool that has been downloaded the last time, it has not changed in the website, it will not be downloaded. So I guess it's important to know that, because otherwise people may think, oh, it's downloading from other people's website and using other people's bandwidths, and it's not really that. I try to use as less bandwidth as possible.
Okay. And that's good too, not only from that perspective, but also on our side, when we're downloading stuff, we won't talk about my 1 terabyte cap, which I go over every month. But when I download something and it's a big file, or I download something and update something like the Tech Tool Store, then if something doesn't need to be updated, I don't really need that, my bandwidth used on this end. I only need the things that needed to be updated, and I'm not really going to know what those are. So I'm going to do the easy thing like everybody else. I'm going to select all, hit update, and move on with my day. Come back when it's done.
Sure, and that makes it faster also.
Yes.
Because if it will no longer download the tool, it just skip to the next one, and that will probably it will probably be able to update all the 600 tools or more that it has in a few minutes, which is amazing.
600 tools.
Yeah, if we count that the Nearsoft suite has more than 200 tools, and Tech Tool Store itself, it has more than 400.
Wow. Now, what were some of the tools that people from the Tech Nibble forums or that were emailing you? What were some of the tools that they wanted to have that wasn't in UVK?
In Tech Tool Store, you mean?
Yes.
Well, there have been many tools that have been requested by the users. Well, I'll have to check that in my emails, because there are more than 100 that have been requested.
I just wonder if there was anything that stuck out to you where people were saying, I really need this tool and I need it so that I can, because I use it on a regular basis, or maybe it's one of those ones that I use a few times a year, but it's nice to have it updated.
Well, the Nearsoft suite Uh, Actually, there has been a problem with it recently, which was immediately fixed when I knew about it. It was that the zip file that Nearsoft was providing became hard password protected, and so TechTool Store could not unzip it properly, so it just stopped working. And somebody told me about it in the forum, and I just added a new option to TechTool Store, so it became available to unzip with the password. And
Nice.
that will be an option that will be available to when you create a new tool in TechTool Store. You will be able to provide a password so to uncompress the zip file.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
All right.
that's something.
So, yeah, 600 tools plus all the things that you have in UVK. It sounds like you just have a ton of information that people can basically do whatever they need to do to fix a client's computer network or whatever, and
Yeah,
give
that's the whole idea. That's in fact, I just couldn't add everything to UVK because imagine, for example, that there are tools that can change the MAC address of a device. You know, it can change the MAC address in the software level. And for instance, that was a tool that I needed a few times. And back in those days, I just added it to TechTool Store, so it should be available. It's called Technician MAC address changer. And so whenever I need a tool and and I know that it's out there, but it's not in TechTool Store, I just go get it and put it there. And actually, that's something pretty easy because it's just a little update in the database of tools, and the tool is immediately available to everyone without the need to even update the application itself. So it's pretty easy.
Nice. That's very cool. All right. Well, Fred, I think we've kind of covered as much as we can probably get to on this particular episode of the different things that your tools can absolutely not only automate, but change people's lives as far as being able to get this stuff instead of going out and picking it out one by one. And as I've said before, your price for your tool is more than fair. And I would recommend that people go out and get this immediately and start to play with it and start to use it and see if this is something that will work for you in your business.
Okay, Jeff, I wanted to thank again all the Podnutz team and yourself for letting me talk to people like this in your program. And I would also like to thank everybody who has helped in my projects by either purchasing a license or making a donation or whatever. It's nice to have people that like my programs out there.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate having you on the show and sharing with us. Now, if you would like, if you could share where to go get this product and maybe some contact information if people wanted to get in contact with you to ask you more questions about your products and services.
Well, in my website, there's a contact form. So whenever people want to ask me something, they can use the contact forms. I also have a forum, the UVK forum, that people can use. And otherwise, if they want to contact me by email, they can email me at fred@carryfred.com, and that's most about it. They can also call me if they want to. It's a French number. It's +33 4 68 22 51 81.
All right, very cool. And then the website is?
My website is www.carryfred.com. Obviously.
Okay. And you said that was a name that you just had to come up with to be able to point your website to. But obviously, also, if you search for UVK or Ultra Virus Killer or Tech Tool Store, your website should come up. No problem.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking the time. And like I said, and sharing with us today. It's been an honor to actually meet the maker of UVK and the Tech Tool Store, and to get to know a little bit more about you.
The honor was all mine, Jeff.
All right. If you would like to, or I just want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time on the Computer Repair Podcast.
Bye.